Bobby Manzana.
Bobby Manzana, very good.
How you doing?
It's very good. You watched the show.
I was watching the show. I want to make a movie, and I want it to be serious, and then I want it to be funny, comedy. But then it's got to be serious, and then a bit of comedy, and
a full-blown comedy.
Nobody's ever done this before. It's fantastic.
You know, tell me,
Do you want a bite, by the way?
No, I don't want to bite.
No, I don't think you should.
No. Now that sounds French. Gerard. It's just like Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah, it's what, French and it's Irish as well.
Okay,
I mean, my whole family are originally Irish. Any Irish people?
Anyway, what I'm saying is you don't sound like a Gerard. You seem more like a...
So you guys say Gerard, you know, like Gerard.
Yeah.
You know, Gerard. My mum and people in Scotland, they go Gerard. Right?
Gerard.
So your name's Gerard. But it's funny because I did a magazine interview a few years ago, and they asked me, what do we call you? And I said, well, you say just Jerry, because when Americans say Gerard, it drives me crazy. Right, my mum does that. But they got it the wrong way around, and they put it in the magazine that I hated being called Jerry. And so then all my friends were calling me up going, ooh, Gerard. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Did I, Scarlett?
Certainly not.
Thank you.
Now, you're from, obviously, people know you're from Scotland, but my mom, my people, my relatives are from Greenock. Are you
Greenock.
Greenock.
Greenock. I love Greenock. Well, yeah, well, your producer calls it Greenock.
No,
Greenock.
No, it's Greenock.
Greenock.
Greenock. Yeah.
And yeah, well, that's just along the road from where I grew up. I grew up in a place called Paisley.
Okay.
It's 5 miles away, and I used to go there for runs all the time. Right. And actually, it's just a perfect introduction. Has anybody heard of the Dear Frankie, the movie that's coming out? Yeah! And it's all set in Greenock.
Okay.
Cool. And so I was so proud because you know, we've taken it around. It was in Cannes and it did brilliantly there. And then I was in Tribeca at the film festival and I was watching it and I thought, this is amazing. This is where I grew up, and now I've made a movie and we're showing it to the world, or 25 people.
Yeah.
And it was just it's beautiful. So you have to go and see that if you want to see Greenock, where Jay's mother comes from.
Wee mom got. You still have family there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have family
still
in
live
Paisley and the Highlands, where my mum now lives with my stepfather.
You're a Highlander.
I'm a Highlander.
Oh, that's fine.
And in fact, they live 5 miles away from Balchwydder, which is where Rob Roy McGregor is buried.
Oh, yeah.
Just people there just yes!
But I like to watch. The amount of people that know your references is getting smaller and smaller. I mean, down by
one person went, yes!
Now, is there anybody else in show business?
And the family? No, I think there's a lot of people who think they are.
Yeah.
No, my mum was actually a lecturer. She taught business studies, but my father was an insane person. He in Canada, and I didn't see my father for 14 years, and by the time I went back, he'd been a bookie before. He'd run 5 bookie shops, and anybody that had a dodgy bet would say go to Butler's because he would always take the risky bets, and we ended up going bust. Well, I was only 6 months old. I'm not taking responsibility for this, but we did a moonlight flight to Canada, to Montreal, and then yo baby, and then. But then when I went back over to Toronto, I started hanging out with him, and he used to always walk about with an umbrella hat on his head because he had an umbrella shop now. Right. And while I was there, he was crazy. He was the funniest man.
True. You are.
I swear on my. Does anybody know my dad? He always walked around with the flag of Canada. Okay. And then while I was there, and he lived in this penthouse in the Palace Piers in Toronto, and he decided to go down to Togoland in Africa and buy $50,000 worth of gold, but he ended up buying copper. And then he got malaria. He got malaria.
This
and
is not true.
I swear to my life, don't call me a liar on national television. I didn't come on.
You can't make this up, really.
Scarlett spent 10 minutes talking about toilet seats. Right? I kid you not. So he went to Togoland, right? And it's going to get worse, right? He went to Togoland and he bought copper. He got malaria. He ended up in the hospital, and I was supposed to go and get injections and go down. Then his French-Canadian wife, I suppose it was my stepmother, said, "Nobody will make a fool of me. I am French, and I will go and show these people." And so she went down, and she with the connecting flight in Paris, she fell down the stairs, honestly, and she broke her ankle. She broke her ankle, and they took her on to Togoland, and she ended up in hospital with my father. And I had this penthouse in Toronto, and I have to say I felt bad, but I had the time of my life.
What a lovely, heartwarming family story that is.
I know.
Now, I heard you got discovered in a coffee shop. It's just one of these apocryphal things? Or
No,
yeah?
well, it was. I had been training as a lawyer. I trained as a lawyer for 5 years and studied as a lawyer for 5 years, and I trained as a lawyer for 2 years until I was fired. The first trainee solicitor ever in Scotland to be fired. Because I was a little crazy and I was very disillusioned with what I was doing. Yeah. So I moved down to London. I just thought I'd get that bit over with. And I moved down to London, and I knew a couple of people in the business, so I knew this casting director, and she said, well, if you help me cast this Stephen Berkoff play, then you can say hello. So I said hello the first day, but he just said, yeah, hello. And that was it. And the second day I was buying coffee for him, and he walked in and we got talking, and he basically said, so you're an actor? And I said, yeah, I don't know, well, I want to be. Yeah. And I asked him if I could audition for the play, and he said, absolutely. And I went in, and I was like, you know, my hair was, oh! And it was really over the top, but so Stephen Berkoff, if anybody knows him, so he loved that. And I got the job.
Oh, that's cool. All right, now tell us about Phantom. Tell us
I like that.
Tell us about Phantom quickly here.
Well, I tell you about Phantom.
Well, no, I mean, I know.
Well, I mean, it came
How about your eye when I don't want to give anything away here, but
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people know what happens in the Phantom anyway. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you guys are screaming like that. That's lovely. Basically, you know, obviously the prosthetic, it took a long time. The first 3 times we did it was 9 hours, but they had to glue my eye down to a piece of silk and then put a piece of string right down my face, round my back, down here, attach it to a piece of metal and pull. And it would pull my eye down like that. And you know, it was a nightmare. And also when they glued it on, they would have to put alcohol.
Why did they have to put it on your back?
You know, I don't know. It was just it was so they couldn't see. They put it under the prosthetic and then they pulled a piece of string from the back.
That's
just to.
So annoying.
Yeah,
let's take a look. Here we have it. We have a scene. Here we are.
Somebody
here we are. Scene from Phantom of the Opera. Take a look.
Floating, falling, sweet intoxication. Touch me, trust me, savor each sensation. Let the dream begin. Let your darker side give in to the power of the music that I write. The power of the music of the night.
The Phantom. Can you sign the mic? Yeah. Here we are.
Thank you.
All right. Good job. Be right back with John Legend right after this.